It's Dave Johan for the Boxing Voice. Pleased to be joined by former IBF World Cruiserweight Champion and face of British boxing on TV, podcasts, you name it, he's on there. Glenn McCrory. How are you, Glenn?
I'm all right. The voice of boxing meets the boxing voice.
How you been? I mean, we'll get onto the Roy Jones Jr. stuff in a second, but how have you been personally during the pandemic and so on and so forth?
Absolutely dire, to be honest. Really, really bad. Yeah, no, it's been tough. I've had over the last sort of 25 years had a lot of sort of mental health issues. You know, what you've kind of handled and just, you know, sucked it up and got through it all. You know, had lots of good, exciting jobs and great career and stuff to take your mind off it and to keep you going. And then lockdown comes along and everything just, you know, your whole past, you know, all your grief, everything just sort of falls on top of you and you've got nothing to cheer yourself up. And, you know, I live by myself and it's been very, very hard. I must say it's been some very dark moments over this last sort of 10 months, which I'm sure there has for lots of people. But yeah, no, I found it, if I'm honest, I'd like to put a brave face on it, but no, I found it really, really hard.
Yeah, a lot of people have been struggling, as you've alluded to and stuff, and it's just about keeping positive and finding bright light into those kind of days, isn't it? And I suppose for yourself as well, because you're such a public persona, putting on a brave face is important, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, I've put on a brave face for 25 years. I had a very tough time with the death of my brother, David, which hit me very very badly. And you know, I had lots of good support and lots of good friends that have helped me, and good family that we've all sort of tried to help each other. And you know, with, as I say, with having the lifestyle that I've enjoyed, you know, that I've been blessed with, you know, you've managed to get through it all, because you know, you're sitting ringside at great fights, you're traveling to Vegas, you're going to New York, you have something, you know, to take your mind off it. You have something to make you get out of bed, to push you forward, to give you something to live for. And all of a sudden, when that's all taken away, you're just left with the grief and with the mental pain. And I'm sure that's the same for many people who have gone through lots of things that can cope, you know, in normal life. But then all of a sudden, when we're hit with a double whammy with the pandemic being, you know, so tough for everybody, I think it, you know, I got to say, I've, you know, I'm not ashamed to say I've asked for help, and now I've got help. I've got people helping me to get through this. And you know, my message is to people that are also suffering, that have also got issues, is please, you know, speak to people, phone people, ask for help, because there is help out there. There's people there to talk to, and there's people there to try and push you through this, because this is something unlike anything in our lifetimes. And you know, don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. You know, for 25 years, you know, in my generation, you know, you had to be a tough guy. You know, you're a world boxing champ, and you know, I come from a family of miners and steel workers, and you know, they're tough men, and tough ladies as well. And you know, it wasn't the time the time to start to say, oh, you know, I'm struggling. So you just pushed on. But now, thank God, you can talk to people, and you can, you know, there is help out there. And, you know, you don't have to look, as I did so many times, at the bottom of the bottle. And that's, you know, that was a big issue for me. always thought it was better just to drink my way through it, self-medicate. And, there comes a point when you can't do that anymore. You come to the end of your tether, and I think over pandemic, that's where I've actually been there. And I'm glad to say with asking for help and getting help, I'm on the right side now, and I'm feeling good. I'm training, I'm out walking, and I'm feeling so much better just for admitting, just for being tough enough to admit your weaknesses, and I feel so much better for it, David.
Brilliant. And part of that, I suppose, that the resurgence and training, being mentally fit as well, has led you into this. Is it fair to say it's a potential fight now with Roy Jones Jr., or is it signed, sealed, and we're going to get?
It's not signed. It's not signed. I mean, it's signed as much as Roy Jones. Roy Jones has said it, and Roy Jones is an honourable man. I've said it. My word's my bond. So we want the fight. That's for sure. It's all about now the people to put it on. Tough Boxing and Simon Whittle, who are a new outfit, who I've worked with before, who do things very, very good. It's great to be involved with them, and I know Roy has a similar involvement. So I can't see why it shouldn't. The biggest problem with everything in this world at the moment is COVID. But barring the implications of that, and obviously, I'm just starting. When we come into the new year, was a real bad time for me, because you just thought there was light at the end of the tunnel, and then straight away, January, new year come, 2021. Let's get excited about getting out of this, and boom, we were hit with another more serious lockdown, and the tragedy of more lives lost. And that was a real knockout blow for me. That really hit me hard, and now we're just starting to see it. A few weeks ago and by, and we're starting to see a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. With the vaccinations and things that's going on. And please God, I know so many lives have been lost, and so many families have been ripped apart by this. But we all have to, show strength together and carry on, and hopefully, we come out of this, and there's a bit of a light at the end of the rainbow for me in that, at 56, I could get the chance to share the ring with one of the greatest fighters that ever lived. Now, I've been in the ring 96 rounds with Mike Tyson. I've been in the ring with Lennox Lewis, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. I was Cruiserweight Champion of the world. But my career was cut short because I was so badly looked after. I wasn't looked after at all. So there's a bit of me that still wants to make amends. There's a bit of me that wants to sort of show what they missed. What they missed. What I could have been had I been looked after with good promoter, good train, a trainer, a manager. I had friends and family trying to work with me and get me to champion of the world, and they did, and it was an amazing achievement with what little we had. So it'll be good. It'll be just a bit of soul searching for me. It'll be just something to make me. I've been bitter in a way. In the back of my mind, I've been bitter for about 30 years because the way Mike, I made no money in boxing. I signed off the dole when I won the world title. On a nationally televised.
That's hard to imagine. Yeah, for a world champion to be on the.
I was on the dole, and that was my speech in the ring. Stanley Dole office. I'm not coming back. Now you laugh, but that's criminal.
Yeah.
That's criminal. That and we'd hope that would never happen today. But that's how bad it was. I fell out of love with boxing, with the actual boxing. You know, that my first love as a 12-year-old was fighting. You know, all I wanted to do was box and be the best I could possibly be. You know, Ali was my hero, and I wanted to be like the greatest. And you know, I got to win a world title against all the odds, but I never got to prove how good I really could have been. So this is just, it's about making peace with myself. And you know, I never set out. I could have made a comeback any time in the last 30 years. I never even got to my prime. I never got to 29, 30 as a professional. 30, you know, I never got to my best years. So it would just be good for me personally, you know, to see what I'm made of. You know, I keep testing myself. Climbed the 8th highest mountain in the world last year. So another test, and Roy Jones is a heck of a test. Even at 51, you know, I'm 56 and haven't punched a bag for 27 years. So it's a massive challenge.
It'll be very interesting because originally you were, it's fair to say, there was something going on between you and Evander Hollyfield, wasn't there? There was talks of that, and
you know, it all came back from a conversation. I had absolutely, you know, I was asked in the studios when I was working with BT on the Tyson Jones fight about fighting Lennox. You know, Lennox was a guest on the video wall, and it was like, no thanks. You know, it was a joke. And then having seen the fight and having seen how well they did, you know, and I've got to, you know, a lot of people, you know, to the untrained eye, people might have said, well, you know, it was a non-fight. But if you know the characters and you know how good they were, then you know that, you know, that was good, because Roy Jones used all of his amazing skills, all of his super knowledge, just to try and nullify a 54-year-old Mike Tyson, just to try and not get knocked out, because Tyson would have knocked him out and was really, really going for it. So when you look and you think, you know, that was good. Them guys still had it. You know, they still had it. And then we just got a conversation I had with Evander. Was just to ask him what his opinion was. You know, what do you think, you know, as a punter, as a what did he think of that? And he was impressed. You know, he was like, whoa, that was good. What about me and you? And it was it was a joke, to be honest. You know, or it seemed that way. I mean, he was obviously serious, and that just got the codes working. And he said, call me out. And so I did. And then it you know, everybody started talking about it. And you know, just to see that people in newspapers and the media and the boxing circuit were actually serious about this. They actually, you know, they saw the potential in this, was, you know, got me thinking. And I thought, you know what? That'd be great. That'd be amazing. Anyhow, it didn't. Evander, his people got involved then, and then they talked millions and all this sort of stuff. And you know, it doesn't seem like Evander really. I mean, I know he's talking about a fight with Mike Tyson now, but it didn't seem, to be honest, that he really wanted to do it at this stage in his life. I don't know, but then, so that was it. You know, went up to Christmas thinking that was you know, a good month, you know, great show on BT, and then you know, a bit of fun and games with Evander. That was all good fun. And then out of the blue, there's a message from Roy Jones Jr. Can you imagine calling me out? So well, what you got to do? You know, what you got to do? Say yes.
Yeah, it's definitely captivated the fight fans, because there's always this curiosity to see what people have got after they hang the gloves up. I mean, I think maybe it stemmed from George Foreman when he came back. There's always been this curiosity of what it would be like if your likes of Roy Jones went on. And I've read somewhere as well, and this might be inaccurate, but I hope it's not, that Enzo Maccarinelli is talking about coming back and yourself. So there's always been this curiosity there, hasn't there, of old fighters. What would they look like now?
Do you know what, David? It's because in boxing it's such a short career.
Mm.
You know, compared to a life. You know, I was finished in my 20s. You know, I retired in my 20s. You know, and I missed out on so many good years. But you know, equally, I found a niche in broadcasting and with Sky Sports, and it was amazing. You know, it filled that void magnificently, and I had some of the greatest times in my life covering some of the best fights you could possibly see with Sky. So it was that filled the void. But there is that curiosity, and you know, when you've seen and when you've been around fighters like Larry Holmes, who boxed well into his 50s, I think, didn't he? And was still a handful. You know, Larry was still, you know, you could tell how great a heavyweight he was in his prime, because you know he could still fight well, you know, well into his elder years. So yes, there is that curiosity. You know, you got to think, if you go back to history, Archie Moore was still competing at a very good level in his 50s.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, you also got to test yourself as a human being. You know, it's kind of like, you know, am I on the scrap heap? You know, I'm 50. Am I? You know, is that, do people just want to see me, you know, go in the garden and get my slippers on and get my pipe? It's like, no, you know, that's I'm still a fighting man till the day they put me in this earth. You know, so yeah, there's a curiosity, and I think that there's nothing wrong with that. You know, people will say, oh, you know, boxing, you know, boxing's going back and this, that, and the other. I say, hold on, no. Boxing's growing with the times, and
Yeah.
it has to grow with the times, because, you know, there's all sorts of, you know, there's all sorts of TV shows that, you know, you'd never have thought of, you know, when I was young. You know, there's people want to see different entertainment. And you know, you've got bloggers making more money than world champions. Because, you know, and people say, well, that's unfair. And no, it's not unfair, because they have built that for themselves, because they get more people interested. They get people interested in boxing that would never be interested in boxing. And you know, there will be people who remember me. You know, the modern generation think of me as a broadcaster. You know, they forget that I was a world champion, or that I had a career, you know, before that. And likewise, you know, people will be, you know, people start to talk about Mayweather's the great, you know, can they remember Roy Jones? No. Can they remember how great Roy Jones was? I mean, he was untouchable. He was unbelievable. You know, I mean, it's Sugar Ray Robinson and then Roy Jones is probably the greatest fighters that ever laced the glove on. So, you know, but people don't remember that. You know, they've seen him later on getting beat in fights. You know, so it'll have a lot of interest. It'll have a lot of interest to see, can a guy really come back after 27 years? You know, especially Glenn McCrory, who's you know, kept Merlot and Shiraz in business for the last 25 years. So I think, you know, there's going to be a lot of interest.
Yeah, like I said, the fight world, especially during the people that I've been speaking to, they are really captivated by this one because of the names involved. I mean, just looking behind you there, the picture of yourself with the belt around your waist there, looking at your glory days. People are interested in that because it's.
You know what, that wasn't my glory days. I was 24. I was a baby then. I was 24. I already went through a career as a heavyweight. I was 24. You know, had I been allowed and to grow and to mature and to be looked after, they'd have seen something much, much better at 29 and 30 and 31. They'd have seen glory days.
And just brain about social media, and if it was around then, can we just say, do you think that would have benefited you more? So, in regards to the Twitter side of things, YouTube, because nowadays for a fighter, it's as much as captivating an audience via Zoom, via YouTube.
You know, back in the late 80s, you know, you never had a voice, so you couldn't say what was going on. You couldn't say, you know, that you weren't getting paid, or that I could have, you know, my manager went, you know, when I lost the world title, went off with my money. You know, I couldn't say that. You know what? You just take it. And there was so much you had to just take then, so much treatment that you just had to take. Where now you can put it up, you can put it out there to the public, can't you? You can let people know what's going on, and that can change situations. So yeah, no, I think obviously, you know, the social media has its good points and its bad points. Obviously, then you've got a lot more people. You've got to take the flack from a lot more people. You know, if you put yourself out there, you've also got to take back, you know, criticism and the negative points of social media, which is, you know, that's par for the course, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I remember, I think someone was telling me, like, I might be paraphrasing the quote incorrectly here, but I think Tyson once said that, you know, social media, someone to get a picture with a fighter, then they'd have to have a camera with you at that specific time if they bumped into you into the street. And nowadays everything's on your phone, isn't it? You can just take a picture with a fighter and interview a fighter and stuff like that. So it's a different world we're living in now, isn't it?
Yeah, which makes it a lot more competitive, but it also gives more people an opportunity to shine through, and that's how some of these bloggers are making millions of pounds, you know, because they can get people to click on, they can get followers, and that's a talent in itself. That's an art in itself.
Yeah. And what's it like working with Simon Whittle and personal friend of mine, Jack Fletcher, over on the new Tough Promotions banner? Because it's a new sort of outfit, isn't it? It's never been done before.
No, you know what? It's very good. It's very good because I mean, obviously, you know, they'll be judged, or we'll be judged, you know, because I later think I'm part of Tough as well. On what happens in the future, and pulling this fight together, and then pulling other fights together, and in moving forward. What I love about Tough is it's new. It's got so much potential, and it's also, there's so much enthusiasm, you know, and that for somebody like me who's been through the mill in boxing on every, you know, in every level, in every category, it's very easy to become disappointed, to become disillusioned.
Yeah.
You know, you carry on in it, but it knocks you down. You know, it's like the Rocky quote, you know, it just keeps knocking you down and knocking you down, and it's very, very tough. So it's great when there's some new energy comes up, and it's great when there's new enthusiasm and new ideas. And you know, I don't think the more established promoters would look at this sort of idea, and you know, because obviously they've got bigger fish to fry, and they've got the up and coming fighters and the champions around today, which is fair enough. But there's a place for this. There's a place for this, and you will find that a lot of people will be interested, and a lot of people will want to see how fighters go on. And you know, if Enzo Macronelli, you know, or Johnny Nelson, or them guys, you know, they're all of a sudden their ears have pricked up now, because the old man McCrory is doing something they want to do, so they can just wait in line, and I'll get round to them after Roy. So they, you know, there's plenty time for them. I'm fresh and I'm ready.
Sounds like a pay-per-view brewing there. Night of the commentators. Get everybody involved. If Jim Watt's still around as well, you know.
Listen, I'm not calling Jim out, man. He's still a tough old cookie.
I'm sure he is. Just wanted your opinion before I let you go, Glenn, on Tyson Fury versus AJ. Big fight that looks like it's possibly going to happen as well. A trilogy brewing. First of all, do you see it happening this year? And secondly, who wins that for you and how?
Well, I think first of all, does it happen? I mean, I think we all want this. We all want that fight to happen, but you know, in life, there's so many fights we wanted to see and we haven't seen, and that's a shame. But I really do hope that the fight happens, because I think it's just a great matchup, and it's great for British boxing that the two best heavyweights on the planet are both British, and that, you know, as a nation that invented the sport, it's an amazing time for us, and it's a shame for COVID and that, you know, all of the sadness of the world at the moment, that fight hasn't happened already. But I think, yeah, I think it'll happen. Whether it'll happen this year is again, you know, that fight needs a crowd. That's not a behind closed door. The same as, you know, on a totally different level, but myself and Roy Jones, you know, I want a crowd. You know, I don't want to behind closed. I mean, if we have to do that, but I want a crowd, because, you know, that's what it's all about. You know, it's all about interacting with the fans. I would never have won in 1989. I would never have won the World Cruiserweight title had it not been for all those Geordie fans. You know, I owe so much to them, because they cheered and stomped and clapped and hollered me over the line to win my world title, and they were very much a part of it. And, you know, would Rocky be Rocky without a crowd? You know, it just wouldn't happen. So that fight needs a crowd. It needs a crowd, and it, you know, for me, it needs a British crowd. And I think if a promoter takes that anywhere else, it's criminal. And if they allow it to go anywhere else, it's wrong. You know, I'd say, boys, the British public has made you both rich beyond your wildest dreams. And for this fight, neither one needs to take the fight. But for this fight to happen, you need to do it. It's payback. It's payback for the British public. It's payback for all those fans that's paid so much money, you know, of their wages, and to see you guys and support you guys and make you guys famous. That fight has to happen in the UK, and it has to be a massive thing. And you know how much that will help this nation recover? You know, sport is great for that. You know, sport is great. You know, you remember in the war at Christmas time when the Germans, you know, played football. It was football that they played on New Year's Day or Christmas Day. So in sport, we need that fight to happen in the UK, and we need to happen. Hopefully, it could happen in the summer. I mean, I'm hoping, you know, a huge fight. Wembley Stadium in the summer, and that would go a long way to just giving the public a bit of fighting spirit and giving the public something back.
Who do you think would win?
I have no clue. You know what? If they were to fight now, I'd say Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't make predictions. You know, I don't make predictions so far out, you know, when fights are alluded to, because anything can happen in this game. Fights can be won and lost with an injury. Fights can be won and lost with, you know, with some emotion, something going wrong in a fighter's life. It's that sort of sport. You cannot weigh up form just like that. As if they were going to fight now, Tyson Fury would win. If they fight in the summer, I'd have to say how the preparations have gone, who's looking the best in sparring. If AJ decides to go to Miami for a training camp, you know, stuff like that. That's when you know a fight is gonna, you know, a fight is, you know, it's not gonna happen. So I'll hold that. At the minute, Tyson Fury.
Okay. And just going on to your fight then with Roy Jones, are we looking beginning of April, mid-April? Venue?
May. The plan is still May. Obviously, please God, the country starts to we come out of lockdown and things start to go right, and crowds are allowed back in and that sort of stuff. But we're working on May at the moment. I think the fight's going to happen, and I'm really looking forward to it. And it has given me a light to. It's given me a light to get me out of the darkness, and I'm eternally blessed for that. And I thank Roy for making my Christmas, and then he's going to make my 2021.
Brilliant.
About Roy.
Absolutely brilliant. Glenn, thank you for taking time out today for the Boxing Voice. Wish you all the best, and it's glad to see you so positive during these dark times. And we'll be in touch soon.
Just make sure this doesn't go out in the US.
I'll try. I'll try my best.
God bless you, my friend.
You have a good one, Glenn. You take care.
So if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars and title, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.